the valuation of art, right? So how does it happen? What are your thoughts on how does one piece become, valuable almost instantly overnight?
I just know with myself that I make very limited edition amounts of work, and there's a demand for my work around the world. So there's a price point that I believe the work should sell for. And if people don't want to pay that price, then I don't need to sell them that work. So I just think about my own business model and the prices that we charge for the works through galleries around the world.
This is the Alden Report.
Folks, before we get into our next guest, I'm super excited about our latest program. Look, we've been on television for close to 20 years, literally selling hundreds of millions of dollars worth of products and services that have had a positive impact on people's lives. We've created millionaires. If you've ever watched television, you've most likely seen me on television, not dressed like this, but in a suit and in a tie. Listen, we've re-engineered the process. We're allowing people, a small group of people, whether you're an author, whether you're a business coach, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you have a program or a service that you feel as though that can have a positive impact on people's lives, and you want to up level your game. You're tired of what's going on social media. You're tired of AI is not kicking in. You're tired of all the money that you spent and you're not seeing any return. You're tired of all these fraudsters out there that tell you they're going to put you in Huffington Post or USA Today or Forbes, and it's nothing just but a joke. You want to be in front of millions of people every single day all over the country. Folks, we've been doing it for 20 years. We've re-engineered the process. We've made it possible for the average everyday person to participate in this. If you want to up-level your game, if you truly want to build your profile, if you truly want to get in front of millions of people every single day, send me a direct message at Mike Alden 2012. You'll see it on the bottom of the screen, at Mike Alden 2012, and put TV in the message, and I will get back to you personally and see if you're a good fit for us. Again, send me a direct message at Mike Alden 2012. Send me the message TV, and we'll see if you're a good fit.
This is the Alden Report.
All right, my name is Mike Alden. We are here in Blue Bay Studios. I'm not rocking my 99-cent glasses, but I am going to put on these. These ones are actually a little bit more expensive. These were like $7. So I got my $7 glasses on. With inflation, glasses are becoming more and more expensive. I'm super excited for my next guest. My next guest is a world-renowned photographer. He's an artrepreneur. It's a tough one to say. He's been at it for a long time, and his story is really, really remarkable. And for those of you who have been following and know anything about me, you obviously know that I've been in the art world for a long time as well, and I'm super fascinated to have David Drebin on because, one, he's a real guy, but the other part is he probably doesn't even know the direction we're going to go in, which is even more fun. So listen, if you're an artist, if you know somebody who is an artist, or if you're a fan of talent, then you're not going to want to miss this next episode of the Alden Report. Please help me welcome David Drebin. David, thanks so much for being here, man.
Thank you for the introduction. Thank you.
So before we went live, I told you a little bit about, I said, you probably don't know my background in the art world. I'm a big fan of just talent. I say I'm probably the largest collector. This is a weird one of Horton artwork for Dr. Seuss.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and there's a reason why, because when I was a kid, my mom used to read me, Horton hears a who, and also Horton hatches an egg. And one of the slogans was, I said what I meant when I said an elephant's faithful 100%. And it just kind of, I was at Chuck Jones Gallery in San Diego, just kind of fell in love with it. And then they just got their hooks into me. And before you know it, I have like more, Horton stuff. Actually, I had a Horton bronzer here last week. But so I'm a fan of art, man. This isn't about me, but I'm also a fan of your type of art, this kind of multimedia type art that has more than one purpose. I was on your website, daviddrebin.com, and what you're doing is just awesome. But I want to get into let's get into, because you weren't always an artist. Let's start there. Like, when did you decide that you were going to kind of get into the art world?
I never actually have ever seen myself as an artist, and I never tried to get into the art world. I always felt like I had a vision to create And if I just executed my vision to create, then the right people would find my creations. But I never identified myself as an artist, and I never imagined being in the art world. It's more like I'm an entrepreneur, and I create luxurious product in a very limited edition, and we market the work all over the world, and we sell through the finest galleries all over the world. But I've never been like I'm an artist, I'm a creative person, I'm in the art world. Never thought of it that way.
It's interesting too, because I was like taking a look at some of your stuff, and it's not the same, but I think of Banksy, and I think of kind of what he has done, in the New York area as well, and also all the country. But I also think about Mr. Brainwash, and that whole documentary about how he just Banksy said, well, why don't you go ahead and do it, and he does it, and then all of a sudden he's out there just probably he's not as big as Banksy, but he's out there just doing it. He wasn't an artist either. So what do you say to people who like yourself, who don't think that they're an artist, but maybe they are creative, and maybe the stuff that they're creating is kind of cool? Do you like, what are your thoughts on kind of taking that next leap and putting their art out into the ecosystem to see if it resonates with people?
I think the most important thing in life is finding your purpose. And once you find your purpose and you spend your entire life focusing on your purpose, then you can only control your own effort. You can't control how people respond, but you can only control what you put out there and how hard you work at your craft. So it comes down to craft. Whether you're a quarterback throwing a football, a hockey player, playing goalie, whether you're a chef trying to become own your own restaurant, whether you're an artist creating photographs or neons or diamond dust works or paintings or mixed media, it all comes down to having relentless passion, focus, having a dream, and having a plan. I think a lot of people have dreams that they can't execute, and they don't have the strategy behind the plan for that dream. And it comes down to dreaming and planning and being patient and having passion and also detachment. Sorry, are you there? There we go. Sorry about that. I think it's really important to have passion and detachment. The duality of both is the key to being successful in anything you do.
Now you hear the classic starving artists, and I had Charles Fazzino on my podcast. I'm sure you're familiar with him. And I had an opportunity. We actually did the podcast in his studio in New York, and he talked about his the kind of the art hustle, I call it, about when he was slinging stuff literally on the streets in parks in Michigan. I think that's where he's from. Talk about the early stages of being an artist and really kind of what it's like. I mean, you kind of touched upon it a little bit, but the reason why I'm asking the question to you is because there's a lot of talent out there, man. And just whether, I've, been to Basel a couple of times. I've actually put people in Basel myself, artists, and, you go to, the side event spectrum and things like that. And so, so you go there and I'm just blown away by talent, but it's more than that, right? So when you're first starting out doing your thing, talk about those early stages and truly the grind. But I also want to know mentally what it's like, because there's no way right out of the gate your stuff is just just selling like crazy. But what's it like when you're putting stuff out there and it's not selling, and you're struggling, and you're maybe living in someone's apartment, and now you're in a high rise in New York City? Like, but what the early stages, did you tell me about that?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I feel like I'm still just starting out right now. I never pat my back and think that I'm successful ever. So I feel like every single day is a new chance to start all over again. For me, I moved to New York City in 1994, and I went to Parsons School of Design, and I worked as a waiter. And I always thought that I was going to be a waiter. And I love talking to people. I love working in restaurants and serving celebrities and in sports and arts and entertainment. And I never thought I'd ever be able to turn my passion into a business. I thought, okay, I'll be a waiter and I'll make photographs on the side. So for me, I have this like deep inner burning desire to create. and for the world to see my creations. It's an accidental business for me. So I've always had this inner drive to put it out there into the world. And I've been relentless for literally 30 years, every single day, all day long, creating and marketing my creations. And I think for anyone, marketing is almost more important than the art that you make. I think that it's a combination of you're never going to meet anybody if you just stay home all day long. So you have to leave your house sometimes to meet people. And that's part of the marketing, the way you speak, the way you dress, the way you make people feel, and try to find your tribe of people that you can build things together and share a pie. So I look at it like I created a pie, and I'm looking to share my pie with people who want to share the pie with me. And the pie just happens to be many different art forms that are sold in the finest galleries all over the world, but it's just a big pie. It's always a struggle, by the way. It's always a struggle. You can't ever feel like no success nor failure is ever final. So I don't get too high. I don't get too low. I'm just very focused on my purpose. And I think for a lot of talent out there, they can easily get discouraged because they can feel rejection. I feel like someone who rejects me, I've got compassion for them because then they're not getting a piece of the pie. So to repeat myself, if you reject me, I feel bad for you because you're not getting a piece of the pie that people want a piece of all over the world.
Well, I absolutely love that. I want to, in a second, I want to talk about, one of the things that you said is the marketing side. I'm a marketing guy, and I help authors all over the world as well. And it's one of our businesses, and they struggle with the marketing. And a lot of artists also, quite frankly, struggle with it because they think that their art is just great and therefore it will be. And that's just not the case. So, yeah, we're on with David Drebin. Look, right out of the gate, I love this guy. Just listening to his story, talking about the hustle, talking about being humble, talking about the grind, talking about, putting things out there, and also talking about marketing, and marketing actually, quite frankly, I think is easy for most people. And I think marketing for me is easy. The sales part is also hard. So we're going to talk to him about the marketing and the sales in just a second. If you'd like some more information about David, you can go to daviddrebin.com. It's Drebin, right? And also you can check him out on Instagram. He's got that nice little blue check mark that I'm so jealous of. His art is awesome. If you like talent, if you like to be inspired, a lot of times others get inspired by looking at other people's art. I had mentioned earlier, Banksy and what's his name? And Mr. Brainwash, it happens all the time. You might see something and you get inspired. So if you want to be inspired, if you want to take a look at what this guy is doing, visit his website, daviddrebin.com. Marketing, man, I think I told you again earlier, I know a lot of artists. I bought a lot of art, some bigger names that people may or may not know, like, Picasso and Brito is I'm a big fan of his. And Brito, I believe, is probably one of the greatest marketers in the art world. Maybe up, Banksy could be up there as well because of how he's doing it. But Brito has taken his stuff and put it everywhere. It's on everything. It's luggage. It's everything. It's Rolls Royces. It's Miami Stadium. It's everywhere. And some people would probably say, well, he's quote sold out, right? And he's commercialized or what have you. What are your thoughts on him for let's start there. Like, is he over marketing? Is there a point where you can do too much?
I don't really love to talk about other artists. I just know that when you sell your works directly, as opposed to having third-party representation, I just don't think you're taken seriously in the same way. So my business model is that you can't buy the work directly from me. You have to purchase the works from the finest galleries all over the world. And I think his strategy is that you have to buy the works from him and his stores directly. He doesn't have gallery representation. He sells the work directly. It's just not my business model.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but what do you think about what he's done, right? Because
for me, I respect people with balls.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of respect for someone who really believes in themselves. It's
Right.
not just about whether or not I like the art. It's about respecting someone's individual style and their hustle and their willingness and drive to put it out there in the world. I see the drive and the recognizable style far more than whether or not I like the art or not. Like, for example, I'm not a big fan of Alec Monopoly. I don't like that kind of work, but I love that it's instantly recognizable as his own. So I've got respect for recognizable artwork. Whether or not I like the art, it doesn't matter. Who cares what I think? But to have a recognizable style is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. So when you fashion yourself as an entrepreneur, which is pretty awesome.
Artrepreneur,
Yeah,
part artist, part
entrepreneur,
entrepreneur.
entrepreneur.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm from
entrepreneur.
Boston, so I have trouble pronouncing my R's anyway, right? Um, I had Laws City on. She's a New York-based artist. She does a lot of stuff with resin, and she does pill art. She takes a lot of pills and creates these kind of cool things. And she was great, and her stuff is awesome. She actually kills it on TikTok. I was checking out your TikTok. You got some cool stuff on there too. But she had said stuff like, I'm not a business person. I don't see myself as a business person. Talk about the importance, though, of being a business person as an artist.
Well, when you're creating art and your galleries are selling a lot of your art and there's money involved, you need to manage the money from the galleries that are selling your art. So if you just want to be an artist and then the galleries are selling your work, you have to make sure that you're getting paid by the gallery. And it also costs money to live and to create art. So if you just want to be an artist and you're not a business person, you're going to be bankrupt in no time because you didn't pay attention to the cost to manufacture the art and the distributors making sure that you're getting paid for the art that you created. So it becomes a business when you start selling your art to collectors and galleries all over the world. If you're not good with numbers and you're not good with business, then you're going to be out of business in a hurry because it becomes a business once people have a want and demand for what you ever are supplying. It's you supply the art, you create a demand, there's a demand for the art that you supply, and then all of a sudden you're in business. You better be good at business, otherwise you'll be out of business.
Let's talk about your first sale, if you can remember that. The first time you walk now, because again, I have put art in galleries in many places, not all over the world, but all over the country. New York, San Diego, LA, Boston, Malibu, the whole, where all the art guys are. And I walked in, just walked in because I backed an artist. His name's Blake Emery. His art's pretty cool. We should check him out. But talk about your first sale. Was it you? Did you walk into a gallery and say, will you feature my art? How what's that like?
Well, that's an interesting question. I remember I had my first show in my hometown of Toronto in 2001 at a gallery, and I really loved these works that I put on the gallery walls. And we sold a few pieces at that show, but I
Hold on,
was
let me stop you.
surprised.
I want to stop you for a second. How did that happen? That first show, was it you?
I knew somebody. I knew somebody who had a gallery, and they asked me if I wanted to have an exhibition. And I never. I was a commercial photographer at the time, and I thought, okay, I guess I'll have an exhibition, just see what happens.
Okay.
But what was interesting is when the work was on the wall, I looked and I thought, wow, this really works as art. And I sold a few pieces, but I didn't sell as many pieces as I thought I should have. And I was actually extremely unhappy when the show was over because I knew how good the work was. And what I did was I contacted a gallery a couple years later in Germany, and I showed the same pieces at an exhibition in Toronto, my hometown, and they sold every piece at the exhibition in Berlin, the same works that didn't sell in my hometown. And that's when I thought, I'm onto something. It's not about what you make, it's about where you show what you make as well.
Yeah, that's some great perspective there, man. So kudos to you for that. I'd mentioned Art Basel, been there a couple of times. Like I said, I put Blake Emery into some of the side events down there, and Spectrum, I think, was the big one. And it's been a while since we've been down there. And like I said, I was just really blown away by the talent all over the place. And they say that 70% of all private jets are there in Miami during that time because a lot of collectors are there. But let's talk about kind of the dark world of art, the behind the scenes stuff. the valuation of art, right? So how does it happen? What are your thoughts on how does one piece become, valuable almost instantly overnight?
I just know with myself that I make very limited edition amounts of work, and there's a demand for my work around the world. So there's a price point that I believe the work should sell for. And if people don't want to pay that price, then I don't need to sell them that work. So I just think about my own business model and the prices that we charge for the works through galleries around the world. The biggest issue that I have is when I trust a gallery and I release one of the works to a gallery and then they don't pay for the works that I released. That's when I start having problems, is when I trust someone who isn't trustworthy and they don't pay. And that's where the problems start. So in terms of valuation, I just know what I think my work is worth. But what's interesting is, I've sold multiple pieces for six figures, and a lot of them are just the last pieces in the edition. But I like to have high prices to leverage the work. And once it's sold, I can't use the work as leverage anymore. So if I have a piece of Central Park that's $100,000 and someone buys it, then I can't use that as leverage anymore. So I actually get not upset, but I think to myself, if I sell this piece for 100,000, I share this with a gallery. I'm very grateful to take my percentage, but I can't use that piece as leverage anymore. I think it's really important to have leverage pieces.
By leverage, what do you mean by leverage?
Well, like if you go to Rolex and they say we only have one watch in the store and this is the price, and you try to get it for a discount and they say to you, well, there's no discount, this is the price. It's leverage. I think it's really important to have leverage pieces in the collection as well, because once they're sold, they're gone. There's nothing left. So I think I'm in the only one left business. Really. I look at it like I'm in the only one left, and all my friends are like, you're in the only one left business. And I love when there's only one left. And that's why we always raise the price of the very last image in the edition, because I don't need to sell that, because I like having that as leverage, because I'm in the only one left business. That's my favorite. I would rather have only one left than to sell the only one left, because I'm in the only one left business. And that's part of the marketing.
I love it. So,
True, but it's actually true. It's actually true.
As a photographer, like I'm looking at the painting over your left shoulder of Mick Jagger. It looks like this like mixed media a little bit, right? A photograph with some.
That's not my work.
Okay,
That's by Russell Young.
Okay.
I love that piece because I love Mick Jagger.
Right. So as a photographer, you take a photograph and there is a negative of that photograph as well. And you're talking about different pieces. See, in the painting world, right, you have giclées, right, or limited editions there. But so when you take that photo the first time, so what you're saying is that the each image is essentially the same, but they become more valuable when they're scarce. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying if I make it a photograph, I make an edition of, it's all digital. So I make an edition of 7 of the exact same photograph in one size. Then I make an edition of 10 in the smaller size.
Are they
and
numbered?
That's it. They're all numbered. Yeah, they're numbered 1 through 7.
So is number 1 worth more than number 7?
I don't do that kind of structure. So for me, the entire edition, good question though. The entire edition of 7 is the same price. The entire edition of 10 are the same price. But I make artist proofs in the large edition, and those have a scale to them. I make 3 artist proofs: artist proof 1, artist proof 2, artist proof 3 of 3. And that's where we raise our prices, because once I sell the artist proofs, there's no more works available. And I've got many works where we sold out and I can't market those works or show those works anymore because they're unavailable, because they've been collected by top collectors all over the world.
So what happens? And by the way, at some point we're gonna talk about NFTs, obviously. But so there's a huge trust factor there on your part, right? In other words, people are trusting you, right? Because you have the negatives, yes, obviously, right, of the original photos, and so how does someone know that somehow you're not, or someone's going to get a hold of these and flood the market?
Very simple. Very simple. Every photograph or diamond dust piece or neon or sculpture, it comes with a signed label. I control all the labels. I have the labels right here. I've got a sign. I just sold a bunch of pieces to a gallery in London. These are my labels that I'm going to sign today. Below the surface, edition 1 of 7, edition 2 of 10, and I sign it. If I ever double signed a label and did 2 below the surface, 1 of 7, and that was ever out there in the world, my business would crumble immediately and I would lose all trust in the world. I would never do that. So everything is recorded in my inventory system and on a signed signature label right here. And I've been doing this for 30 years. So I built up a huge market of trust all over the world. We're selling works all day, every day, all over the world. Singapore, Paris, London, New York. It never stops because I built a reputation of trust all over the world. It's a trust business. This is a label that is about trust.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. In a second, I want to talk to you because like you said, your stuff is digital. I was on your website again, daviddrebin.com. You have some really kind of cool, I think they're probably about, 15 seconds long where you got a voiceover and just great imagery. And those could be an NFT. And, I know that NFTs are kind of a thing that people are talking about and everyone thinks they know what they're talking about. Most have no fucking clue. But I've been in the crypto game for a lot longer than most people realize. And to me, an NFT is just a smart contract. But we'll talk about that in a second. Again, we've been on with David Drebin. Look, if you're listening to this guy, not only is he an artist, but he truly is an entrepreneur, and his perspective is pretty awesome. So if you'd like some more information about David and what he's doing, go to daviddrebin.com, daviddrebin.com. And obviously, it'll be in the show notes. Check out his Instagram. He's also on TikTok as well. His art is it's definitely inspiring and thought-provoking, and it will certainly make you think, especially with a lot of the voiceover stuff.
Today's episode is brought to you in part by Wicked Happy. The way you live your life depends on your outlook, and theirs is simple. Be wicked happy. Wicked Happy provides you with apparel to make you smile. So if you want to be wicked happy and you want to look wicked cool, then visit wickedhappy.com, and at checkout, enter in the code RADIO for an additional 15% off your entire order. Again, visit wickedhappy.com, apparel to make you smile.
So NFTs, right? Look, everybody thinks they know what an NFT is, and you got, what's his name, Beeple or whatever, that sells for 60 million, and then everybody's like an NFT expert, and NFTs are fucking everywhere, and that market has been kind of destroyed based off of really the price of Ethereum. So what are your thoughts on NFTs? Do you have NFTs? What do you see the future as it relates to NFTs?
So I've done two NFT drops with Vayner NFT, and I was very successful with my NFTs. I think NFTs are kind of for gamblers who want to buy them and then flip them once the drop is over, or for people who want to show off the art that they have on their phone. I tried it. I work with a top agency. We sold a lot of them. We did a diamond dust collection. We did a neon collection. I have much more passion for creating art that's on people's walls all over the world. I'm not into fast money and gambling, and I feel like NFTs are it's fast money and it's gambling. And I think that they took off very fast, but I think now they're kind of on the fade. It's because crypto has lost 60-70% of its value, and I think people are holding on to these NFTs that they purchased and like, why did I buy this in the first place? So I think it's a bit of a status game. I think it's a gambler's game. I think it's an ego game, and I love the idea that people have ownership of my works as a JPEG on their phone, because people stare at their phones all day long. And I think that once you have these digital screens in your home, you could take that image and put it on your screen with your NFT collection and show your friends all the NFTs that you collect. So if you have a digital screen at home, you can actually get great pieces that are not expensive and showcase your collection on your digital screen. It's just a digital world, but I think people are wary of them now because so much of it was involved with crypto that's been destroyed. My NFTs had nothing to do with crypto. People purchased them on their credit cards. It had nothing to do with Bitcoin or Ethereum. It was just a digital JPEG that people would own of my work. So I thought it was interesting to be a part of it. I love the agency that I worked with, but I'm just laying low right now and watching everything unfold. But I'm really in the physical art business because I've got more passion for creating art as opposed to passion for fast money.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Slow burn for me, man. I'm into a slow burn, not into fast money. Building relationships and the money will always come.
Yeah, it's again, your perspective is just top notch, you know. So, okay,
Thank you.
now we're talking again about the digital world, and you know, your Instagram is pretty active as well as your TikTok, and you know, you're putting your stuff out there. What are your and earlier we talked about marketing, and as a marketing guy myself, you know, it's always changing. You know, and you know, all of your artwork is available online in the digital world and artsy and things like that. But what are your thoughts on social media and using social media as an artist and putting it out there? And then the second part to that is not only showing the art but showing the process. Do you ever show like the process? When I say the process,
All the time.
Yeah, let's hear about it.
I think that on social media, it should be either entertaining or educational. And I think that if you're a brand, you really need to be on social media. It's like having your own production company and your own TV station. And it's all about the content that you provide and the value you provide to other people. So I think it's important to have Twitter and TikTok and Instagram for me because I do different things with each platform. Twitter, I give my ideas as words. TikTok, I can do more crazy videos. And Instagram is my ultimate branding for social media. And I post what I post on Twitter, on Instagram, TikTok, on Instagram. And I think it's important to build an audience of people who you can entertain with the art that you create. I love to entertain. And for me, I'm chasing the truth and I'm chasing fun while I'm chasing the truth. So that's how I see social media. It's just a way to get your vision out there to the world, but you better be entertaining, you better be fun, or you better be educating people. Otherwise, it's all ego, and ego is the enemy. So for me, it's all about fun, fun, fun.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to live. What are your thoughts on? So my uncle is a professional photographer. He's been doing it for his whole life, and
What's his name?
Bruce Marcy. He's out of Vermont. He does a lot of landscape stuff. You know, obviously this time of year is a great time to be taking photos in that area. You know, in fact, I get one of his photos, you know, hanging on my walls at home. So, but I used to joke with him about you know the iPhone and how they're taking better pictures than you know his Nikon 3000 or whatever they are, you know, that he had. What are your thoughts on now? Look,
No chance. This is my new Leica M12 camera. I just went to Europe and I photographed with this thing. This thing is absolutely spectacular. First of all, it looks beautiful. Just by looking at it, it's so inspirational. Just the craftsmanship of this. It's a piece of art. It's 60 megapixels, and I blow my photographs up 4 by 8 feet, 4 by 10 feet. You can't do that with an iPhone, but you can do that with this camera. This is a spectacular piece of equipment and piece of art in itself. So
what is
iPhone
like
art
cost?
is not for me.
What does that cost?
This is 15,000.
Wow.
For this 15,000. Yeah. But I sell my work, you know, between 8,000 and 100,000. So I don't really think about the price. I think about the tool that I can use to make the art that I make. It's all about the tools. This is my camera. My mind is my camera. The camera is just a tool for me to execute the concepts in my mind. It's just a stove. It's like a stove for a chef, or a pan for a chef. It's just a tool. It's all here. It all comes from your own imagination. You have to believe it to see it in a world that needs to see it to believe it. And a lot of artists and entrepreneurs fail because they don't have a vision and a relentless drive and pursuit and a plan. And they can't handle the highs and the lows. I've had the highest highs, I've had the lowest lows, but I don't get too high, I don't get too low. I'm just focused.
Do you, when I think about industries like the music industry, in professional sports, you're playing at the highest level in the art game. Do you help other artists? Are there other artists that are kind of like your friends, and you're almost like a kind of a surrogate mentor of them, and say, hey, look, this is how I would do it? Is there the reason why I ask is because it's a competitive world as well. But some people, I think I know your answer, but some people might not want to kind of give away some of the quote secrets or some of the strategies and some of the things that you do because they worry about someone kind of stealing their thunder.
I have no secrets. I'll answer any question.
Mm-hmm.
Any question. So I think a lot of people have talent, but they're not good with projection. And I think that people being scared of being rejected can hold them back from truly pursuing their dreams. So I love to speak to other artists, but a lot of artists have a hard time with rejection. I love being rejected because I don't reject myself. So if you reject me, I feel bad for you rejecting me because I'm a winner and I believe that I'm a winner. Whether the world believes that, it doesn't matter to me. It's just innately inside of me that I'm competitive with myself. So people will tell me, oh, you're in a very competitive business. I've never thought about the competition ever. I look in the mirror and I'm like, that is my greatest competition, myself. And you are your greatest competition. The greatest competition is your own reflection. And that's it. So you better just focus and keep your eye on the prize and surround yourself with magic because there's madness lurking everywhere. You got to find the magic and you got to get rid of the madness. Do not pay attention to the madness.
Speaking of madness, I did stand-up comedy for years, and it got to the point where every conversation I had, every interaction I had, all I could think of was what, the funny in it, right? And to try and turn it into a bit and what have you. And it kind of took over my life. People thought I was having a nervous breakdown. But as a photographer, I'm assuming you probably have your camera with you at all times, but are you always...
Ever, rarely ever. I don't take photographs. I make photographs. So yeah, this is my camera right here. My mind is my camera and it's with me at all times. So I see situations that I then want to recreate, and then I recreate those situations and I make the photograph. I don't take photographs. I make photographs. My mind is my camera.
Okay, so if you're out in the street and you see something that inspires you, you go back to your studio, what have you, and you recreate it on your own.
That's what I would do, yes.
Yeah.
I don't really do street photography. I did when I first started. I love doing street photography. I love doing street scenes, but I created all of my street photography scenes in the beginning of my career myself. But I made them look like I happened upon those scenes. And I really miss making that kind of art, but there's not really a market for that kind of art for what I do. They're just not. So the art that I make are more like scenes from movies, and it's not really street photography, but I do love street photography, and I love to create street photography scenes that look like I happened upon them, but they were totally set up. I miss those days. I definitely miss those days.
So your camera, I'm guessing it can shoot also video, and most of your stuff.
No. My cameras I use don't shoot video. This does not shoot video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I have a video team who make content for me. I don't do video. I don't do video.
All right. So, because all of your stuff is still images, but on your site you can see that you have videos of essentially of still images on your site. So you're not shooting video. You're shooting straight still images.
There are a lot of videos on my site of videos that I've made with my phone. combined with still images that I've created as art, and they're mixed together by my content creation team.
What's your purpose of again, I was on your site and I love it. It's awesome. Again, it's daviddrebin.com. Why are you putting out kind of these inspirational isms coupled with your art? It's somewhat unique. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do it, especially with their own stuff. Was that just something that came to you, or you just felt as though you just want to kind of help the world? Like what inspired you to do that?
Well, ultimately, I have a big audience of people looking at my stuff, and I want to entertain and educate people and inspire other people to pursue their dreams. So ultimately, I think my real dream is to be a public speaker. I love speaking to big groups with no script and nothing, like going unprepared and just talking about my experiences and answering questions. I mean, even this podcast right now, I've done a lot of podcasts, and people ask me if I want to see the questions before. I don't want to see anything before. I'm ready to go. I want to be spontaneous. I've got no notes. I like to work from my imagination and think on the spot. So I make these videos to entertain and inspire and to educate other people about my 30 years of creating art, marketing art, and selling art to the biggest collectors all over the world. That's my passion and that's my dream. And I want to inspire you for your passion and your dreams. I'll tell you, nothing irks me more than wasted talent. There's a lot of talent, but there's a lot of wasted talent. People who don't believe in themselves, people who can't handle being rejected. I love when people reject me. I feel bad for people who reject me because they're going to pay for it later. When they see my works in the best galleries, they see my books in bookstores all over the world. And when they reject me, I get turned on by rejection. I'm in the rejection business. I love it. Please reject me because you're going to regret it one day. And I feel bad for people who reject me. A lot of artists don't think that way because they don't realize that their greatest competition is themselves and they think it's other people. No, your greatest competition is your own reflection. So let's go.
I love it. I love it, man. When I think about rejection, the stuff you're saying, makes sense to me. I think it's hard for people to really kind of understand what you're saying, that you enjoy the rejection. I don't believe that people like being told no, just innately, but what you've embraced it. And, the Marines talk about embrace the suck, and, that's great. But I think a lot of people can't stand the rejection. In other words, when I say can't stand it, they can't physically and mentally handle it. But what
wakes me up. It wakes me up. I love it. I love it. I love it. Look, no one likes being rejected, but I never feel rejected. So just the word other people use. I look at someone who says no to me as a way to punish them later for saying no to me. I punish people who say no to me later because they always come back. By the way, I made a neon that says they always come back, and I've sold a lot of those in an edition of 9. And that was born out of people who would say no to me, who would then come back later. So for me, I'm on a mission. It's me with myself and the universe. I'm putting work out there for the world. And if they like it, great. If not, that's okay too. But I know my purpose and I'm pursuing my purpose. A lot of people don't know their purpose. So if you know your purpose, then nothing can stand in your way. It's like traffic. If you get in your car and you know you want to go somewhere, the other cars aren't in your way on the way to the destination. They're just cars alongside you. They're all trying to go where they're trying to go too. It's just traffic. I don't like traffic, but I'm willing to be patient in traffic to get to my final destination.
Man, where'd you learn all this stuff?
It's just my imagination. It's called being alive for 52 years. And being aware and seeing all the details in all experiences.
So it sounds like you get a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. Like I have a chip on my shoulder about people who reject. Look, it's the great. I've stood in the booths and the New York Art Expo and Balboa Park and other places, with art, and they say, oh well, I'm going to come back. I love that you created the neon that says that they always come back. Most times they don't come back actually. Especially in that scenario. But when they do, man, that's when you know you have them, right? I mean, that's when you really know you have them.
I don't look at it like I know I have them. I provide value to other people, and I love how the art makes people feel. At the end of the day, it all comes down to how you make other people feel. And when people tell me they love having my work above their bed or as the main artwork in their home, that makes me feel great because it's about how they feel when they look at the artwork. It has nothing to do with David Drebin. It has everything to do with how I make somebody else feel. And that's what it comes down to,
So
making people feel amazing.
we don't have a ton of time left, but I want to, if you could, like I said, I was, with Charles Fazzino, he does like 3D pop art. I'm guessing you know who he is, right? And he's got literally like a factory, like, like Warhol had, a bunch of people, and I filmed the whole thing and I watched the whole process, and I was joking with you earlier because you say process because you're from Canada. Let's talk through like your basic process. You take a photo, it's in the camera. What happens next?
Well, what I do is I make the photograph. I don't take the photograph. And then I often distance myself emotionally from creating the photograph. And it literally sits on the card in my camera for weeks at a time. I separate myself emotionally from the creation of the photograph. Then I download the image. I send it to my production team who have no emotions attached to the creation of the image. And then we work on the image together. When I feel like the image is perfect, color, contrast, brightness, darkness, then I take that image and I send it to the galleries that we work with all over the world. Some galleries will say, we don't like that image. And another gallery will say, we love that image. And oftentimes, the gallery that says, we don't like that image, they come back later because their clients saw the image with another gallery and they want to purchase the image, but it's sold out. I have a lot of that kind of stuff. Because I believe in it, it's just a matter of time before they sell because I'm going to put them in the right places so then collectors can purchase the works and feel great with the artwork that they purchased.
Post-production, we're talking about a little bit, right? So when you make the photograph, right? I finally picked up on that. When you make the photograph and you like it, do you ever just look at it and just say, that's it, it's perfect the way it is, we're not going to do anything to it?
Some images need a little bit more work than others, but for me, it's mostly about contrast and composition. So I light all my subjects, so I don't leave a lot to chance. It's a very controlled environment for the photographs that I make. And then we turn those photographs into diamond dust prints. We sell 90% of the artwork that I sell are diamond dust prints of photographs that I've created. So we print them as photographs, we sprinkle them as diamond dust works, and that's what the collectors want all over the world. Photographs that are then printed on fine art paper, sprinkled with diamond dust, framed beautifully in the finest galleries all over the world.
Do you ever have some pieces that I heard what you said, where you step back from it emotionally, which makes sense to me, and I think I know why. But do you ever have a piece where it just speaks to you so much that you just want to keep it for yourself, that you don't want to release it? Are there photos like that you're holding on to that you're just like, you know what, these are mine and they're never going to go anywhere?
I have no emotional attachment to any of the works. I have zero emotional attachment. And like a boxer who goes in the ring, he's full of logic. If he has any emotion, he gets knocked out. The boxer gets the crowd emotional while he remains or she remains logical in the ring. The key is to remain logical while creating an emotional response to the artwork that we make.
Wow. Again, man, I could probably go with you another couple hours, and I really appreciate you being here. I'm super excited to have you on. I just love your perspective. I'm also right out of the gate when I saw your stuff. I am a fan of talent. Like you mentioned earlier, whether or not people like the art or not is really kind of irrelevant, but I'm a big fan of talent, and you are not only a talented artist, but you're just a talented person. And just listening to you and your perspective, I think has been Really, really fantastic. So if you'd like some more information about David Drebin, you can just go to daviddrebin.com. You can check him on Instagram. You just Google him. He pops up everywhere. He's got a pretty active TikTok. He's active on Instagram. You mentioned, you heard him earlier talking. Also, he's got a Twitter. You can just get all that stuff right from his website. So it's daviddrebin.com. And if you want to purchase his stuff, you can also just Google him and you'll find some other resellers as well. If you happen to be, at some of the greatest galleries in the world, and you see a piece on the wall, well, go ahead and pick one up. My name is Mike Alden. That's David Drebin, and we'll see you soon. I'm super excited about our latest program. Look, we've been on television for close to 20 years, literally selling hundreds of millions of dollars worth of products and services that have had a positive impact on people's lives. We've created millionaires. If you've ever watched television, you've most likely seen me on television, not dressed like this, but in a suit and a tie. Listen, we've re-engineered the process. We're allowing people, a small group of people, whether you're an author, whether you're a business coach, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you have a program or a service that you feel as though that can have a positive impact on people's lives, and you want to up-level your game. You're tired of what's going on social media. You're tired of AI is not kicking in. You're tired of all the money that you spent and you're not seeing any return. You're tired of all these fraudsters out there that tell you they're going to put you in Huffington Post or USA Today or Forbes, and it's nothing just but a joke. You want to be in front of millions of people every single day all over the country. Folks, we've been doing it for 20 years. We've re-engineered the process. We've made it possible for the average everyday person to participate in this. If you want to up-level your game, if you truly want to build your profile, if you truly want to get in front of millions of people every single day, send me a direct message at Mike Alden 2012. You'll see it on the bottom of the screen, at Mike Alden 2012, and put TV in the message, and I will get back to you personally and see if you're a good fit for us. Again, send me a direct message at Mike Alden 2012. Send me the message TV, and we'll see if you're a good fit.